The Chinese Communist Party is taking over Hollywood. I guess we've probably guys like us that are in the granular level on some of this stuff have seen it. But are you guys familiar with the rules in China that they're banning sissy boy bands and effeminate
Yeah, I heard
males
that.
from all
Yeah,
media? You know that, yeah?
yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, I did a video on
Um,
it ages ago. It's
but
fascinating
that's
stuff.
not the rules when they are helping fund movies here in Hollywood. I don't know if you guys remember the Bruce Willis movie Looper that Ryan Johnson did several years ago, but they got a lot of their money funded from DMG Entertainment, the Chinese-based motion picture group, and they wound up making massive changes to the movie script to remove all the references to France and changed them all to China and just made China look good. They did the same thing in Iron Man 3. And anytime you've seen a movie where suddenly I think they even did it in Amazing Spider-Man, but where they have scenes or sequences that glorify China, put China in a really positive light. That's a lot of that is because of the funding. And so
Yeah,
Chris Fenton, who I think used to work with DMG, has been covering this for a while. He's got a new documentary out called Hollywood Takeover, China's Control of the Film Industry. And he basically it's from the guy that used to help arrange the deals on a lot of these movies. And
wow.
he suspects that or feels like it's part of the CCP's efforts to use Hollywood to undermine America. So, subvert liberty, establish global dominance for China, and so on and so forth. I think it's an interesting premise. I think it may be too little too late. I don't know that they're going to be able to change things. But they're definitely onto something. And some friends of ours, you guys may know Christian Toto,
Yeah,
Kevin Sorbo, and some others, Nick Searcy. They all appear in this documentary explaining it. And it's I think it's 60 minutes, just over an hour long. But it was put together by the Epic Times Television. And somebody needs to say it because Hollywood's not going to tell on themselves,
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, I don't see why there's any reason to think that that's not the case. Quite frankly,
Do you
I think
remember a
that
few years ago when Top Gun Maverick was in production and there was some discussion about how the studio had changed his iconic bomber jacket?
yes,
They had removed the Taiwan flag and whatnot.
yeah,
Uh, and that was to appease the Chinese censors. And of course, Disney has done this as well.
they
But
filmed specific endings of
that's right. That's exactly
Marvel
right. That
products.
will only air over there.
Yeah,
But to Tom Cruise's credit, he changed it back on his jacket, so the Taiwanese flag is indeed still on his jacket, or it was
mm,
put back, which I was actually glad to see. It made me like Tom Cruise again. So, but it's happening. China is subverting the American culture literally
well,
by
TikTok is that.
owning and paying for our culture that we consume.
Well, TikTok subverts all culture in the
Well, I
States
would not disagree
and
with that at
worldwide as well.
all. I've not been an adopter of TikTok yet, though.
Oh no, I've not. I've not been in TikTok. I cannot be bothered with TikTok. Absolutely,
I would say, is culture, are you
brain
a
rot.
TikToker?
No.
Okay. I didn't know. Well, I did just a short story, almost just a rehash of a press release with the trailer over on Bleeding Fool. It's called Hollywood Takeover. Documentary details China's control of the American film industry. It looks good. Epic Times does a lot of good stuff. I included a funny tweet of John Cena, who apologized in Chinese.
Oh, I remember that. I
Yep, for
remember that.
calling Taiwan a country, which
Yeah.
is just so sad. What's happened to John Cena?
Well,
He's
we call him
dressed up
John
as a little
China.
girl in some new movie that he's in. It's just embarrassing.
You got to call him John China, not John
John
Cena.
China, that's good. Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember when he, one of the MMA fighters said that, Colby Covington, after John Cena came out or John China came out with that statement, begging China's forgiveness, said, "I will slap the taste out of John Cena's mouth." Oh my gosh. Of course, he's an MMA fighter. He doesn't care, right? He gets punched all the time. So, but yeah, China's being exposed as influencing Hollywood, as they probably have for years. Any thoughts on that from you guys?
Go on,
Oh,
Culture.
I'm not. Go ahead, Culture. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I think we've all known this for quite some time. I mean, in the financial manipulations of Hollywood have kind of started and were originally sourced from China. A lot of the very bad decision making processes at various corporate levels have been created and fostered in China. The West's investment in China has hurt us in many different ways because it's granted influence into many of our industries, and most importantly, our cultural industry as well. The reason that the U.S. was favored in almost every country in the world for multiple generations post World War II was because we were exporting our culture around the world and people were adopting it and taking it as part of their own. We don't do that anymore. Right now, all culture is stagnant because China doesn't really produce culture and the other nations around the globe stopped making culture. So outside of things like anime and stuff like that, there's very little being added to the cultural zeitgeist in real time. In fact, right now, this is probably the beginning of what I would call a cultural dark age, because we've gone through rebootquels, reboots, remakes. The cycle that we're stuck in is one of a lack of creativity, a lack of the allowance of new ideas and possibilities. So, and all of that is centered on the moment that we, surrendered ourselves into the financial, wheels over there in China, just so you could get a cheap ass television. Are you happy with that decision? I'm not.
No, and you're saying China, but it's really the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, there's old China, the Lao Beijing, and others that have got fantastic cultures. But you're right; these cultures are from a bygone era. It seems like now, which is why we're sitting here even going, well, I hope they don't ruin Fallout Season 2, or I hope they don't trans my favorite character from this property, because once they do that, it's like you don't go back. It's kind of like if you're dating a girl and you find out she's not a girl, you're probably not going to go on another date. I mean, that's sort of, we're done. That's not what I'm here for. And I'm not trying to insult anybody. If you're into that, that's, more power to you. Inclusivity, diversity, and all that kind of stuff. But for those of us who are not into that, it's like, once you do that, you've ruined it for a lot of people. It's kind of like that. When I was a kid, I had a high fever and I ate pizza and it tasted disgusting. I tried M&Ms. They tasted disgusting. I did not eat those foods again for 15 years. And I love pizza. I don't eat M&Ms, but I they're great. Don't get me wrong. But I think once they do these things, they ruin the foundation of a lot of things. So when DC Comics has made the decision to change the sexuality of their characters, and then the following year they're like, why are these comics not selling? What happened? Well, your longtime readers that you had established all this lore with realized, well, this isn't what I'm used to. This isn't what I came in here for. I thought I was getting something else. And I think that's what is happening. That's why I mentioned at the beginning how China has banned sissy men from its media, and yet is funding it here in Western media. So I think there's something going on more than just banks in China wanting to work with Hollywood, for the allure of being involved in a Hollywood production. Like if any of us were billionaires and a movie, somebody came to Nate and said, man, we want to do another Alien versus Predator. Can you help be a producer on it? He loves the lore. So of course he would, if he had the money, right? But he wouldn't go in there going, how can we make it? How can we make it gay enough? He wouldn't care about that. He would care about the property. And by the way, Nate, the recent Alien video you did, thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that I need to get that over on Bleeding Fool, but we can talk about that later.
Which one? I've done loads.
Oh, 2 days ago.
Okay, yeah.
What was I think it was where the new where all the movies fit in
Yeah,
the timeline
yeah, that was good
chronologically.
fun. Enjoyed
But
that.
what I'm getting at is because of his love of the culture, any of our love of the culture, we would want to go in there and sort of cradle it and protect it and maybe lend our own sort of vision to it the way that we've received it. But that's not what the Chinese Communist Party is doing, at least not when it comes to Western media. And they've got all of the technology that we've got. They've seen how Hollywood makes movies. And I think you'd be surprised. What's that?
I was going to say that is a playbook out of communism.
That's right. They've got all our technology, and now they know how we make great movies. So, I mean, they can do it themselves and make all the propaganda in the world that they need.
Well, but it's also societal subversion that is out of the communist playbook.
Oh,
right?
indeed.
It's to subvert society. So, yeah,
well,
it makes sense.
Here in America, we've been overrun by Marxist infiltration. So it's a shame. It's a shame, and it is a dark ages for our culture.
Oh, massively. Anything else to add to that, guys, or shall we